Two of the most common questions that adults have asked for centuries are, how's the weather and how is the real estate market? Let's take how each question is commonly answered, and one at a time. To the question, how is the weather? The answer depends upon whom you ask. Typically, when a person is asked this question, you routinely hear a quick and simplistic definition. For example, it's really cold, it's going to snow, it's overcast, it's nasty, and a host of other vague responses. Such non-remarkable, if not outright trite responses are to be expected and acceptable, as generally speaking, most people are not weather experts. To the contrary, when a meteorologist is asked or volunteers their answer, it is more likely to be along the lines of, and I'll quote, "We will be experiencing patchy fog, which will continue tonight and into the early morning, and then locally dense fog is possible, along with scattered showers, which should continue overnight but could clear up after Tuesday morning. High winds will be up to 15 miles per hour, and they'll be coming from the southeast, and the temperatures will be in the high 60s or low 70s. Now, of course, there are many other examples which I will spare you from hearing, which are exponentially more comprehensive. Consumers give simple answers to weather inquiries, whereas professionals are expected to deliver more substantive detail. Now let's turn to the inevitable and ubiquitous question of how's the real estate market? Consumers on their own might come up with the market's hot, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market, seems to be shifting, or it's back to normal. However, ask yourself this question. Please, when you're asked how is the market, do you want to merely provide a simplistic, conversation ending, 1 or 2 word weather-like update and then move on? Or instead, do you want to stimulate a conversation that converts an informational event into a profoundly important sales and marketing opportunity? One which reveals your deep expertise and also converts a trite conversational tidbit into acquiring a real estate client, culminating in a call to action ending. May I respectfully suggest that you think of that often asked question, how's the real estate market, from consumers and clients as an opening that kicks off a respectful, dignified, and appropriate way of pursuing business opportunities by satisfying unmet consumer needs. For example, I invite you to consider either responding in the following manner, or at least rethinking the way you might be currently responding by changing your communication pattern. Perhaps as follows. Allan, how's the real estate market? Thanks for asking, Pete. We're in a very opportunistic market. There are great opportunities for buyers, sellers, and investors. Now I'd like to ask you a question. When do you think you might be making your next real estate move? Allan, probably in a year or 2. Pete, may I ask why? Well, Allan, our youngest daughter will be going off to university, and Susan and I don't know if we are going to either downsize or move or improve. Pete, all of that sounds very exciting. Yet it might be too soon to get together now to discuss the marketing of your home, but we should at least get together sometime this fall to start discussing a merchandising strategy, especially if you're considering doing any home improvements. This way, whether you folks look to move or improve, you should look to maximize your home's value during this period. Plus, I would also like to send you our Move or Improve guide and also a real estate planning guide. Also, I have been meaning to mention to you, Pete, that I would love for you and Susan to become my real estate clients. Well, Allan, doesn't someone that becomes a client, does that only happen when somebody wants to buy, sell a home? I thought that's the way it worked. No, Pete, it doesn't just mean that to me or my clients. I serve my clients forever, long before and also long after transactions, including helping them to coordinate home service related providers, Pete. Now let me turn from Pete, the consumer, back to the real estate professionals watching this video. I recommend against providing Pete or anyone with a one-size-fits-all and narrow definition of any market, such as the market is shifting, or it's in transition, or other vague and anxiety-inducing descriptions that signal rapid change. Rather than sounding like a market seismologist talking about market shifting, consider being viewed as a marketplace solutionist. By virtue of breaking down a holistic market into a series of segmented opportunities, by considering the market as providing plentiful opportunities, you have now alerted your brain to look for individual opportunities for all segments and all individuals within the real estate market. Such strategic thinking can be found in how stockbrokers think in terms of a market of stocks versus a stock market. This mindset will prevent real estate professionals from viewing the market monolithically, but rather as a nuanced market, one that's rich in various segmented real estate opportunities. When people now ask, how's the real estate market? It is with a completely different level of curiosity and seriousness versus the last 3 to 5 years. Anxiety and uncertainty abound. So rather than confirming or compounding their anxiety using terms like changing and shifting, or there's a new normal, and expect consumers to take it from there, you are instead manifesting that you are a professional thought leader. One opportunity within an opportunistic market might mean cashing in one's built up equity before a significant decline in home values. Another opportunity might be a greater selection for buyers. Yet another is where someone may sell their home that used to be worth $800,000 for $700,000, yet they can now buy a home for $900,000 that used to be worth $1.2 million or more. And if someone says, well, we love this home, but we think prices are going to drop, so we're going to wait. We think they're going to drop this year. You might say, hey, let's see if we can buy this beautiful property now, or magnificent home now for next year's price, based upon the motivation of the home seller. When you tell yourself it's an opportunistic market, that compels your brain to identify opportunities. It keeps you positive and more effective. And lastly, after you create that two-way conversation, don't forget to conclude by asking for a client commitment. This thinking goes against real estate industry tradition in which clients only exist when there is a fiduciary responsibility during a transactional episode. This is one of the reasons why the real estate industry invented the dreadful term, which I have been excoriating this past year, past clients. How many times have you heard someone say, I must do a better job of keeping in touch with my past clients, which obviously makes that agent a past agent. If a consumer becomes a past client after a transaction is closed, that means that before a transaction, they can only be viewed as a potential future client. This limited definition of a real estate client must cease once and for all. Moving forward, consumers will be more serious than ever when asking, how is the real estate market? This means that real estate professionals also need to be more serious than ever and forever regarding their responses to this all-important question. Thank you for your kind attention.